Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and I'm going to bring to you today the Tangling. There's a fun story behind this. It is based on a structure, but I'm not going to go into the whole thing. In the description, I will put a link to the Zentangle blog post where this was announced. There's always fantastic stories behind some of these tangles, and this one is really good. So we'll go ahead and get started. This one is so neat. It's really a series of straight lines, starting with essentially a jagged line. Now, I think I'm going to do, you can do whatever direction you want. I'm going to do mine diagonal so I have a little bit more space here. Again, I'm working on a bijou tile, which is, just kind of small. And I'm going to try to make mine on a bit larger side. So again, it's a zigzag. And however you decide to draw your zigzag is up to you. That is how it starts. Then, so looking at it this way, and if you go to the rightmost, and I'm going to call these corners, so where your zigzags, we have a corner. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make a line from that corner to the middle of this line below it. So from the corner down to the middle, or close to that line below it. And then the same thing over here. So from this corner to the middle of this line here. Get it in there. And this one, if it was to continue, it would go something like that. All right? Now, we're going to do same thing on the opposite side. And this time we're going to start at the top. So right, where you started your zigzag, we're going to use that'll be a corner. So we're going to go from that end of that right here to the middle of this line. Then this corner here, from that corner to the middle of this line. And then this one also, and like I said, if you've run off the page like I like to do, then you just kind of decide where would that middle of the line be, and just aim and go until you run out of the paper. All right, so now this is where it gets a little bit tricky if you're looking at my step outs. On my step outs, I go from the bottom, so here, so not using this one, not using that corner, because we're essentially doing the same thing. It's just kind of opposite. So I would go, in the step out, I would go from this point up to the middle of this line. But what I found was, and I might maybe write this and, redo the step outs and all that. But for now, this is how they read. So, and maybe let me just do it that way. So I would go, so skipping this first corner, going to the second corner, and then coming up to the middle of this line. So that way you can see how that would be. And then the same thing would be here. So this corner on up. Now what I found was easier is to actually flip the tile. And this, so we've essentially done the left side, but we would be repeating the same thing that we already have done. Okay, here's the first corner and going down to the middle of this line. Corner to the middle of this line. So I hope that doesn't confuse you, but I wanted to share it both ways because I have always found that doing it this way, going from, because then I want to take it from this corner and I want to do something different. And it's like, no. So I share that with you just to help. That is essentially the tangle. That's all that it is. And that took a whole 4 minutes, including some blathering by me at the beginning. Now, what's fun about this is we're really not done because we always have shading to do. Shading and decorating. So I'm going to share a couple of simple things. I do have a number of fill-ins is what I call them. Some suggestions. You can do whatever you want. Anything that would fit in here, if you can do a tangle small enough to fit in there, then you go right ahead and do that. But some of my favorites are, and I'll do different ones on these. Favorite one, number one, is to essentially aura, so this triangle. So on the inside, I'm drawing another triangle, and I use the term aura-ing because it's like outlining. But if you think about aura-ing, sometimes that helps to match the lines up and have it look, just really nice on the inside. So now, while you could just stop at that if you wish to, you can. one neat thing to do is go from point to point once you have that inner triangle done. And if you have a big enough space, you could do multiples if you want. But you just to do that. And then that ends up looking kind of beveled. That's one way. Another way, so to do with this one, is I'm just going to put a little dot in the middle. And I'm going to take, well, let's see, whichever way is easier for you. Sometimes it's easier for me to go from the corner to the dot. And then turn your tile as you need to, because what we want to do is we want you to have your hand to be comfortable while you're doing this. And then, so from each corner to that center dot, and then we have that. And then if you want to also, you can add a little, you can make the little dot bigger, and it just looks really neat. Let's see. Another favorite is to do arches, or add curve lines. If you have done the Tangle bales, this will look familiar. Except for this one, I'm going to, you know what, no, let me take that back. This one, I'm gonna do like regular curve lines, like as if you were doing bales. So kind of, a not so curved line, just a little curved. So it's just raised up just a little bit. And what's neat is, you know, so then they kind of meet up like that. And here too, oh, this is fun. You can put a big orb in here. I mean, you can leave it at that previous step. You can put a big orb in there. You can leave it like that. Or you can, I'm just going to, you know, color this in. And then this looks neat, you know, to just, you know, going all the way down into that corner. But like I said, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You could color the outsides. So many options. The other one, similar to this, so this was like a shallow curve. If we make a deep curve, and I'm going to do it on this one, in this one, so I'm going to kind of hug the line a little bit and trace that line so I can make a nice high arch. Ooh, that's a really high arch. That's higher than I normally do, but that's okay. All right, and then same thing here. Just a nice big arch. And then here, like that. And then you end up with these, you know, cool little loops in the end. And that just looks neat. There's a whole bunch of other things that you can do. Oh, let's do this on this one. Find, say, the center of the line. And this essentially would be two curved lines. I'm going to do this line here first. So two curved lines going down in the middle. So coming from this line, and then just scooping down a little bit like that into the center. And then same thing here. So you can do it in one motion if you want. I like to speak in terms of the elemental strokes that we have. So that's why a lot of times I will turn that into, okay, curved line. My biggest thing sometimes with tracing on these lines is, you know, making sure to line it up just right. But then I just went over it and it's okay. This one, you know, if you wanted to, you could leave it like that, or I'm just going to fill those in. And remember our course, if you've been following along, you know, our course corrections, if you don't like the shape of something like this, it's like, oh, I could stretch that one, curve that a little bit better so it's even. We can always do stuff like that when we are filling in. Let's see. We can also, so like this one is so thin, it'd be hard to do something with. You can just leave it blank if you like. Actually, maybe this one, I'll do another one of these where I put a dot in the middle and then we draw the lines. Generally, you know, so here's something interesting. So generally I would normally do the same thing in each section and not flip-flop. But I'll show you an example here in a minute. Oh, and then a fun one that let's see, where is that? So the challenge with doing this is that I'm like, well, where I've now made 3 triangles and then I want to do something in here. Let's see. Oh, some other fun things. I'm going to do the aura thing again. And this time I'm going to put some orbs around the edge. Just because. Could also just, you know, fill in orbs in that little center triangle, except that this one is so small. And just like that, and leave it like that. And then, like I had mentioned, you could put, I have one up here too. You could put tangles in there. Actually, this would be, let me do this one here. This, you can just add a little, this is kind of like a fescue. And just, a little curve line. Helpful to kind of go the same direction. Yeah, so that would go this. Like that. Here, I'm going to do a little printops. So starting a little spiral. And then, like we would do with the hollow bow technique, when we come, I'm not going to go over into that other one. I'm going to pick up my pen, travel it across, and I'm going to go till I can fill it in. And then I don't keep doing. Usually, when I do hollow bow, I travel the pen along the path that I would normally be drawing, so that way there's that continuity. But for something like this, it's like, no, we can just do these little curve lines like this. It's okay. And that's just kind of neat. So there we have ing. Now for shading, as you know, the other thing, you can aura the whole entire thing also. Now for shading, here's what I'm going to do, just for sake of doing it, is I'm going to trace all of the original lines. Now, one thing that I did start with, which you could do and have it be fun, is do your original zigzag first. And, and I didn't do that little bit. I'm not going to worry about that little bit. Maybe I could just shade that little bit in. All right. And, okay. So I just did the original zigzag. And I've, if you have followed any of my, either classes or videos, sometimes it's interesting to do things in stages. So what I was going to do is I'm going to go over all the lines with the graphite. But you know what? Sometimes it's fun to do sections. So then I said, oh, well, let's see what it looks like to do the original zigzag and see what it looks like to just do that with the graphite and shading. And I am doing kind of a mixture of shoving it along like this, just pushing the graphite, because it does spread out even if you're just pushing it, because some of these little areas I don't want it to go too far in, because then we have no contrast if it's, just all covered. But I do want it to blend a little bit. Usually I do little circles, but sometimes you don't have room. So see how neat that looks, just like that. So this is what I meant. Sometimes it's fun to experiment and do some things in stages. So now I'm going to put graphite on the rest of all of the lines. So this would be the original lines, not all of the other stuff. So then you also, you have to remember where all those lines were. And doing all of them. And two, you don't have to. You could, I saw some beautiful things earlier where, just, leaving it be and just shading the outside and not having any of the graphite go in. And then it creates this kind of floating aspect, which is neat. So like I said, I'm kind of pushing it, as well as I'm adding a little bit of a circle in there, just so that way it'll spread it out just a little bit. And actually I'm getting a little bit on the outside, which normally I would try to, well, I shouldn't say normally. Sometimes I want it that way, and sometimes I don't. And so it's just a matter of deciding and then, taking care of, doing it whichever way you want. All right, so I'm almost done with that, just so you can see. And then that looks neat, and especially doing things with having different tangles in each section, that kind of sets it off and makes it look neat. So here's some other ideas. This was kind of the same idea as this, doing some different tangles inside, and this is on a gray tile, so I got to add some white to that. And then this is another one I was playing with, where I did the same decoration on the insides. And this one, the little ones, I just did some shading and added a little white jelly roll to them. And then I did some really teeny ones here in the background. So these are just some kind of works in progress, but just to show you and give you some other ideas of what kind of fun you can have with ing. And yeah, and that's it. It's a super fun tangle. I hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing any comments. In the description, I also have the step outs for this, as well as some suggested fill-ins, at least what I have gotten started so far, and ways to connect if you wish to do that. Appreciate any, like, share, subscribe, all of that. And I wish you happy tangling and fun with ing.